nice scenic views. Oh, there's a blue owl. Oh, there's a field of bottles, some bottle trees. Oh, and while we're at it, there's a field of cars planted in the ground. You know, it's kind of random, isn't it? Hi guys, and welcome back to another video.
Hello.
So in this particular video, we are going to be looking at Route 66. It's very common in England that everyone wants to travel to America to do like a road trip down Route 66. We know that it starts in Chicago and finishes at Santa Monica Pier, right?
Yes.
So we know that much, but we have no idea. Well, we don't really know anything else about Route 66.
It's obviously long. We don't know exactly how long, but it's a multiple day sort of trip. And it's full of adventure. That's what we know.
We're kind of also under the impression that it's not quite the same as it used to be. So it's a little bit more.
It's changed a bit.
Yeah, it's changed.
And someone, we were told also in our comments on some other videos
a little bit more run down, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily, or it isn't necessarily what it used to be. So we just thought we'll have a look at a video that talks a bit about then versus now.
Well, it's not so much that in this particular video. It's some guys that travelled down Route 66, and I believe it's the 20 great stops or 20 places on the way down that's worth looking at. Okay, ready?
Yeah,
let's jump right in, guys.
Driving Route 66 is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Along the road, you'll get to see almost a century's worth of history while tracing the route that many used to migrate west. My dad and I took 14 days and drove the route from Santa Monica all the way to Chicago. Of course, there are more than 20 amazing things to see on this drive, but we gathered up a few of our favorites and took turns sharing them in this video. Recommendation number 1 is the Blue Whale of Catoosa, Oklahoma. East of the town of Catoosa sits this cement whale, which is one of the most recognizable attractions on Route 66.
That's so random.
I was really excited to see it, and it lived up to my expectations as the whale was a lot bigger than I thought it would be, and you could walk through its mouth and climb up on its tail. You can't...
It's like a little pier, I guess.
Why would you just be like, you know what? We really need a whale. Let's make a massive whale in that pond or in that lake. Like, I don't know, like, how do you come to that conclusion?
I don't know. But obviously it's an attraction.
It's a thing. I mean, yeah, obviously it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, like, how or why did it get here? Anyway, let's jump back in. Oh, why is it not? Sorry, guys.
Than I thought it would be, and you could walk through its mouth and climb up on its tail. You can't swim there anymore, but it's still a great stop on Route 66 for the entire family.
Very smug look.
Our second recommendation is Cattlemans, Arizona. It's probably most famous as the home of the Delgadillo brothers. They are arguably the leaders in getting Route 66 back on the map after being decommissioned back in 1985. They run a barber shop and a burger shop, and you can still meet them and talk to them about the history of the route. For those of you who are Cars movie fans, it's probably the closest city to Radiator Springs you will find on the route.
Oh, that's really cool.
I like that.
Also, if you're looking for a bite to eat, the Snow Cap Drive-In is the place to go.
Recommendation number 3 is Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch in between Victorville and Barstow, California. I've been to the Bottle Tree Ranch many times, but there was something different about exploring it as part of our Route 66 drive. The bottle trees are basically pieces of metal welded together with bottles stuck on the end and everything from shovels to guns welded to the top. There are hundreds on the property, and this art installation is a fun place to explore in the middle of the California desert.
It's cool. I like that.
It's really cool, but very random again, isn't it? I like the concept though. Like, it's something I think you would stop and have a look though if you know what it is.
It's massive as well.
Yeah,
it's a little bit. Like it.
Recommendation number 4 is Cadillac Ranch, just outside of Amarillo, Texas. It's the home of the 10 Cadillacs buried nose down right by the freeway. They're surrounded by hundreds of empty spray paint cans from innumerable graffiti artists who have visited. So bring your paint can and make your mark. But be sure to take your trash with you when you leave.
I wonder what the relevance of those Cadillacs are. Maybe you guys know, but it just seems a bit odd to me that why would you bury 10 cars? just a bit random, isn't it? Again, it's
an attraction, maybe.
Yeah, I guess it is an attraction. It's become an attraction, I guess. But like, why? You know what I mean?
How did it all start?
So you're going, you're just going down this highway, nice scenic views. Oh, there's a blue owl. Oh, there's a field of bottles, some bottle trees. Oh, and while we're at it, there's a field of cars planted in the ground. You know, it's kind of random, isn't it? Like, what's going to be next?
Let's find out. I don't know.
But be sure to take your trash with you when you leave.
Recommendation number 5 is Oatman, Arizona. After crossing over to Arizona from California, one of the first places we stopped was the small town of Oatman. It was instantly a favorite of mine.
It looks very Wild Westy, doesn't it? You know,
it looks like a proper, old town.
It looks cool, doesn't it?
In the middle of a desert in the US.
Oh, that brings me back, like the Westerns and that. It just kind of gets you that feel straight away. That's kind of, I guess, what you kind of expect America to look like, some of these places. Obviously, this looks very run down, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of, I don't know.
And donkeys.
Random donkeys. We like donkeys.
We love donkeys.
We do love donkeys.
And we see in the comments that some of you love our donkeys as well, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mine is it felt like an old west town and there were donkeys roaming the streets. The town had a small mine you could explore, a jail, and an old hotel and restaurant. The hotel is especially notable because it's where Clark Gable and Carol Lombard spent the first night of their honeymoon. I really enjoyed Oatman because the town just had a lot of charm and it was one of my favorite stops on the entire drive.
That's really cool.
Recommendation number 6 is the Route 66 Museum in Pontiac, Illinois. This is one of the very best museums on the route, especially because of memorabilia related to Bob Waldmeyer, the iconic artist of Route 66. His maps and drawings and art are on display, as well as his famous converted school bus and the VW van in which he traversed the route many times.
That's really cool.
This is a stop for which you need to plan a good 30 minutes to an hour.
I like that one.
Recommendation number 7 is the Merrimack Caverns in Missouri. Missouri is known for its caves, and Merrimack is one of the most famous on Route 66. There are signs for it hundreds of miles before you get to it, and luckily the cave tour easily lives up to the hype.
Nice.
The tour walks you over a mile through the cave, which was once a hideout for the Jesse James gang, and has amazing formations with lots of underground water.
That's
Plus,
pretty cool.
at the end of the tour, they have a patriotic show that they display on the cave wall as well, and that's not something I've ever seen in a cave tour before.
Recommendation number 8 are the Black Mountains of western Arizona. After leaving California, you cross the stunning Colorado River and the surrounding mountains there known as the Needles. You then arrive at the ruggedly beautiful and vertiginous Black Mountains. As you travel the winding roads, you can only imagine the difficulty travelers must have had in the past moving west to start a new life in California. It was easily one of the most beautiful natural sights of the route.
Recommendation number 9 is Petrified Forest National Park. As the only national park that Route 66 runs through, Petrified Forest is certainly worth the stop. I would recommend spending an entire day in this park if you have the time, and I have a whole video on it in the description. Even if you just go in to see the Route 66 history, you'll still drive past the Painted Desert and can visit the old Painted Desert Inn before arriving at the exhibit.
Oh, that's quite cool.
The Route 66 exhibit marks where the road used to run through the park, and it has an old rusted car on display as well. Definitely spend a half day exploring the park if you can, but even if you can't, come in and see the Route 66 exhibit so you get a better understanding of the history of the route through this part of Arizona.
Recommendation number 10 is the city of Tulsa. When you go to Tulsa, it's obvious that they are making every effort to bring back Route 66, starting with the amazing Route 66 Rising statue, which is like a symbol of what is happening right now on the route. Some of the highlights to be sure to see are the East Meets West statue, the Buck Adams Space Cowboy, the Mother Road Market, the huge oil driller statue, and the beautiful Meadow Gold sign.
Recommendation number 11 is Standing on the Corner Park in Winslow, Arizona. This roadside stop was especially fun for me as I remember growing up listening to the famous Eagles song about standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. The fact that the town has adopted this line and dedicated a park in the middle of the downtown area to it is a lot of fun. There were dozens of people checking it out and taking photos, and there are 2 statues of Jackson Browne and Glenn Frey, as well as a flatbed Ford from the song parked right on the corner.
That's really cool.
Recommendation number 12 is Devil's Rope Museum in McLean, Texas. As we were planning the route, it looked just like an interesting stop, but when we got there, it was fascinating. Every kind of barbed wire for every purpose was there, including art. How the wire was manufactured, strung, and spliced were all displayed, and you can even buy pieces of barbed wire from the 1800s. It's also connected to an interesting Route 66 museum, which has one attraction from an old reptile ranch, which is a huge snake. You may think that a museum about barbed wire is not an interesting place to stop, but you'll be glad that you did.
Recommendation number 13 is the Blue Hole in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Located in a relatively small town on the east side of the state, this geological wonder has been a popular tourist stop ever since the route was developed. The water here is a cool 62 degrees year-round, and it's a fun place to stop, especially if you're driving the road in the summer. It's basically just a swimming hole, but it's crazy how clear the water is, and they have a cool cliff jumping spot, making it a fun stop for the entire family on Route 66.
Recommendation number 14 is Twin Arrows east of Flagstaff, Arizona. It's lost its former glory as a trading post, but you can still go and see the 2 huge arrows stuck into the ground. Plus, there are a few buildings that you can explore that are...
Pretty much, I guess it was like, stop here, stop here.
Yeah, so I guess at some point, because he said it was a trading post, so maybe it had... And I'm guessing there was probably like, you know, a fueling station, maybe some food. Like
maybe, yeah.
It's obviously like a services, I guess, now. I wonder what the big arrows kind of represent. Because it's a bit random. Or like, it's kind of a bit out of context. You just have like, you know, an empty field with 2 massive arrows in it. But there must obviously be a reason or some history behind that, but we have no idea. But again, something a little bit different.
Stuck into the ground. Plus, there are a few buildings that you can explore that are in disrepair. It's a quick stop, but it's worth getting off the freeway to take a few pictures of this iconic spot.
Recommendation number 15 is Pop's Soda Ranch in Arcadia, Oklahoma. On the outskirts of Oklahoma City, Pop's Soda Ranch is one of the newest attractions to Route 66, and it's quickly becoming a really popular tourist stop. This attraction has over 700 sodas for sale, a small restaurant, and a gas station. Plus, it has a large LED soda bottle outside, which is lit up in crazy colors at night. We made a late night drive from Oklahoma City to see it lit up, and it was definitely worth it as it's a great stop for photos, especially at night.
Recommendation 16 is just to stop and talk to people. We had some great conversations with passionate site owners of the various spots along the way, who will be delighted to tell you about how they came to Route 66 and how they developed the spot that they are now running. You'll also find knowledgeable locals, many of whom lived during the early days of Route 66. It's also fun to chat with fellow travelers who have found unique discoveries of their own along the way. So plan to take a little extra time, be brave, and talk to some folks, because for me, it was one of the best highlights of the entire route.
For recommendation number 17, I just want to throw all the old signs and motels into one. During our drive, we stopped at over 300 spots, and one of the most fun things was just to keep your eyes peeled for the old signs and motels along the way. Both the old history and the new are fun to see while driving this famous road, and every single day you'll see reminders of days past on Route 66. Also, be sure to head out at night when you're in some of the more famous towns like Seligman and Tucumcari, since these towns often have some great neon signs to see at night as well.
For our last 3 spots, we wanted to share some of the food we liked. Recommendation number 18 is Cattlemans Steakhouse in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It is nationally known as one of the top steak restaurants in the country. But as you get inside, the setting feels like you've stepped back into a high-class restaurant back in the 1950s. At Cattleman's, whatever steak you choose, you can't go wrong. But be brave and try the lamb fries.
Recommendation number 19 is Cozy Dog in Springfield, Illinois. Cozy Dog was a highlight for me since it's the birthplace of the corn dog. I've always enjoyed corn dogs, so I love being able to try the original.
Speaking of corn dogs, we need to try one at some point. I've been to America twice. I've been to America twice, and I've never tried a corn dog. That's a bit of a failure on my part, I think. But yeah, my bad.
I know I'll love it.
It just looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The corn dog. I've always enjoyed corn dogs, so I love being able to try the original. Plus, the small restaurant has a large connection to Route 66 through the Waldmeyer family. Ed Waldmeyer created the Cozy Dog, and it's remained unchanged since 1946. His son, Bob Waldmeyer, is one of the most well-known artists who spent most of his life on Route 66. You'll see his art and murals all over the drive, but you can actually buy prints of his mini maps and designs in the Cozy Dog as well.
Our last recommendation is the Doghouse Restaurant in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We actually stumbled upon this place, but when we were inside, we realized that this was voted the best chili dog in America. When you think about how pervasive chili dogs are, that is a huge claim.
It's impressive.
But we both agreed this small, unassuming restaurant produced the best chili dogs we had ever had.
Wow.
Thanks so much for exploring Route 66 with us.
That was
Hopefully
quick.
this encouraged you to take the drive as well. If you want to read more about all these spots, go to throughmylens.com and we'll see you on the next video.
Nice. So that was this. It was Route 66, 20 great stops by Through the Lens, I think. Yeah, through my lens. Through my lens.
Yeah, we're gonna link their video in the description.
Yeah, the video will be in the description. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. But yeah, Route 66. It started out very interesting with a blue whale, some buried cars, and a beer bottle. Well, not beer bottle, but a bottle forest. I guess.
Basically.
It's
Yeah, which looked really cool.
It looks really cool, but it's so random, right?
Yeah.
But then, we went on to see like the saloon. Well, not the saloon.
Yeah, some of the towns.
That town that looked really wild
exactly like
awesome.
what I would expect to see.
Yeah, it's almost like walking back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
Because obviously you kind of expect that in like the Wild West. You don't expect that in this day and age. And it kind of still looked or had some resemblance to what we would have seen in like a Western.
Buildings would look like potentially.
I think that's really cool. Like that in itself would be.
I think that's the attraction mostly for people like us.
I think so. Yeah.
And being on the road for so long and seeing all these places that are, stuck in time in a way.
Yeah, like it's sort of in a time capsule, isn't it?
Yeah. That's really cool, and it's like. Freedom.
Yes. Yeah.
Freedom and adventure, basically. The Route 66 is like a symbol, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of like it. And obviously, this is only 20 places. We know that there's like...
Because obviously...
They said there's like 300 signs and God knows well. So there's obviously lots of stuff you can do. And I think they said it took them 14 days. So that's a...
Yeah, obviously, if you want to stop along the way, maybe spend
really
some nights sleeping somewhere else, a bit more comfy, maybe some hotels, motels or whatever. Museums along the way and places to stop and eat and see.
It's cool though. It looks good, doesn't it? I think it still looks really good, like something that I would like to do at some point. I don't know if we can have 14 days
just to do that. Yeah,
I mean it's a lot of driving as well, isn't it? I guess. Well, we don't know because we don't know the mileage and how long realistically from A to B. But you do need to incorporate these pit stops to see things. Obviously, otherwise you're just going to look at the road, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I like it. I'd still like to do that.
Still like to do it. Nothing's changed so far. I do know the video is a few years old, so
I think it was a few. Yeah, it was a few years.
Yeah, so maybe there's some other more recent videos that you'd like us to have a look at on Route 66.
And obviously things might have developed a little bit since, changed, new buildings, etc. So yeah. Well, I think
so far.
Looks good.
Still on the list. Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, bye.
Bye.